Have you ever had a weekend or a special event planned where you're getting together with family, with friends to have a good time, to celebrate, and then everything just falls apart? Well, we're going to talk about that today on Mission and Likeness. Hey, welcome back to Mission and Likeness. If this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. We're glad to have you here. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or Google, there is a video that you can watch of the podcast, and you can find that on lovelocalpa.com, or you can find it on YouTube or Rumble. And we'd appreciate it if you would subscribe on YouTube or Rumble. It does help us out as far as getting the algorithm and all that stuff together. Hope you had a great Easter. We ended up having a great Easter. Didn't start out that way, as you probably could tell from the opening little piece there. But that's what I want. I want to use this episode to talk about some of the realities of being on mission, because it's so easy to get pushed off mission, to be distracted. And it's really easy to theorize and to game plan and prepare for what could go wrong. And this is how I'm going to react when this happens. And the next time, I'm going to, put this safeguard in place, and I'm going to make sure that so-and-so's on speed dial to talk me off of, whatever rampage I'm about to go on. And that's all fine. And those are all good things to have. But the reality is, Mike Tyson says, and I don't know if it was said on this podcast or something else I was doing or listening to, but Mike Tyson says, everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face. And that's what happened this weekend. But the subtle difference is it was not one solid punch. It was 4 or 5 body blows, right to the gut, that was just, it hit you and you're like, oh man, you get the wind knocked out of you, then you get the wind knocked out of you. And pretty soon you're just wondering, what the heck is happening? And before you know it, you're completely distracted and you are self-absorbed and you're wondering why God is doing this to you and what you did to deserve it. And then you're thinking through, okay, well, yeah, maybe I did that. And maybe I did that. Oh, great. So God's punishing me for this. And all of it's not true. It's just not. We have to get out of that mind of thinking. We have to get put back on track. We need to be pointed back to the gospel. But I wanted to share what's been happening in my life the last few weeks, actually. And it kind of came to a head just this past Saturday. And so we're going to have a little story time here on Mission and Likeness. And so bear with me through this. And if you relate to it, you'll understand where I'm coming from. But I don't want to just focus on, the trials that we're going through. But even in that, now that we're coming out the other side, we're seeing God in each and every one of those moments. And so I'm going to try to tie it all together in this episode. So about 2 weeks ago, I was in my other office, and I get a phone call from one of my clients who, they're our second largest client. So it's a big account that we operate. And typically this kind of phone call is normal, with a client of this size, and we're running a lot of different things with them. There's a lot of need for communication, and I'd actually been waiting for some communication from them on some projects that we're working on and some video releases that we're trying to get put together. So this was common. So answer the phone. Hey, how's it going? Good. And he just came out and said, I don't know if anyone's told you, but we might be getting bought out. No one has, nope, this is news to me and kind of important. When might this happen? Well, it could happen as early as June, actually earlier than June if they accept the offer. Oh, so there's an actual offer on the table. Yeah, it's not set in stone, but it's not set in stone. Now, normally, this kind of news would, immediately send me into a panic, but I said, okay, like this isn't the worst possible thing that could happen. Sure, this would be a huge hit to the business, and this is by no means what we're going to be okay. This is going to be a big hit to the company, and it's going to cause it's going to cause some restructuring, definitely in our lives of how we do things and how we're operating. Because second largest client, I mean, that's a big chunk of what we rely on every month. But I think I handled it fairly well. Was able to say, okay, God, I'm like, and coincide that with we're starting an Exodus study in our adult elective. And I said, okay, so we're at a place where it seems like this is going to be an insurmountable feat. Like, we need to replace this big client. And you know what? I'm not going to freak out, because I'm going to rely on God to be able to provide and help and push and point me in the direction that I need to go. Because maybe this is an opportunity for a reshift, or to revision how we do things. So that's what I stuck with. And there was still the pulling in the background of saying, you know what? I mean, this could be bad. What if someone else drops? And now it's two big things. And okay, focus on God, studying through Exodus, letting that be my continual pointing back to who God is, what he's done, what he's able to do, and we're going to be okay. So that happens. Next, so that's like 2 weeks ago. Let's move into Holy Week, okay? There's different events going on within our church, and so we're trying to communicate a lot of different things. In the midst of that, we are also trying to streamline all of our communication. We have so many different things happening, and we're trying to bring them together and say, hey, let's try to figure out a way where we can make a cohesive communication strategy where it's not just these people are over here, those people are over there. There's people in the middle that don't quite know what all's happening. And with that takes a lot of time and energy, and there's always going to be conflict as you're, and conflict, remember, as we talked about before, isn't always bad, but there is going to be conflict. Okay, this is how this person does it. This is how this person thinks that we should do it. So how do we get everything together and make a cohesive communication strategy? So that's also happening. So those two things, I felt like, okay, this comes with the job. I knew this was going to be coming. The client thing, okay, that was kind of a body blow, but we're still hanging in there. We're still like, God's going to provide. I know he's going to move, and it's going to be great. So then we move into Friday, and we're pretty excited for the weekend. There is a lot of things happening. We're going to be celebrating on Saturday birthdays, the March birthdays with my family, and then we're hanging out with some friends and their family as we get together and just talk life and the goodness of God and just celebrate with them as well, because they're getting ready to go with some of our other friends down to Louisville to T4G that's happening, at the time of this release. And so that's going to be great. And in the midst, and because of that, a couple of other things have been thrown onto my schedule. I'm teaching tonight, Wednesday night, as we're recording this, the students, our Wednesday night activities, our students, I'm teaching there. And then this Sunday, I am teaching our adult elective Sunday school in Exodus, and I'm teaching chapters 3 through 7. So a huge chunk. So that adds some weight into my schedule. So we're going into this weekend, and I have all of that in my mind, but it's going to be good. I mean, it's Easter weekend. We have family time scheduled. We have friend time scheduled. We have our Sunday Easter celebrations, which are so life-giving. As you are singing together with other believers, just the glories of God and what the resurrection means, like that is just awesome. I was just looking forward to that. And then we were going to be spending Easter with my family again for just Easter dinner. So everything sounds good. I mean, there's some definite stress happening in there, but overall, it's looking good. I'm keeping to the point of relying on Jesus and keeping my anxiety low by prayer, by meditation, by studying God's word. Then Saturday morning, my wife and I are still in bed. It's probably 7:15. And our youngest comes running in and says, I went to go pee and there's water on the floor. And like that, Carly and I we're out. We go downstairs to the bathroom and there is a puddle. I mean, a puddle larger than maybe about the size of this desk around our toilet. And we're thinking, oh, good. Okay. Now we've been having a little bit of water coming up in our laundry room, but this was more than what we have, So we go over to the laundry room and it was obvious that water had come up and then, eventually drained. But in the bathroom, it didn't. It came up from under the toilet and it's everywhere. We had just remodeled this bathroom over the summer. And so we're thinking, great, this is not, how we wanted to start our Saturday morning. So we're cleaning it up and everything. And then we're trying to think, okay, so where did the water come from? What was happening? So we start running some water, seeing if it's backing up, and it's backing up a little bit. Okay, not a lot. And then this. And then my oldest son flushes his toilet in his bathroom, and up comes toilet paper, sewage, and it was like the crap hit the fan. And almost literally, because after we had cleaned up in the bathroom, we got a box fan to put in the bathroom so that it would air dry, and get as much going out of there. So toilet paper, everything comes up in the laundry room. It comes up in the bathroom. And I just think to myself, I'm going to start spiraling. Like I just knew it. This was not good. So now we're on the quest of trying to find a plumber. So we're calling around, no one's answering. We did get a hold of someone and they say, oh yeah, we actually don't service your area. And I'm thinking, but you market that you're in our area. So we have to call a plumbing company. He said, yeah, it comes out and immediately starts off with, so it is holiday hours and it's overtime. And I'm thinking, yeah, but at this point, this is the thing where, nothing against plumbers. I get what you got to do, but you have to be able to flush your toilets. So my wife and I are thinking, okay, so what happens if they can't fix this today, we can't run water. And now we need to find a place to go. So we're looking at hotels and we're trying to think, okay, do we rent a hotel? What do we do about food? And and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking all of this is costing money. And if I'm losing clients, like this could be really, really bad. Like, I don't want to be spending money on all of this other stuff. Plumber comes out, super nice guy, and he's got the big snake thing, and he's going down and rips the toilet off, and he's looking at the clean out that we have in the front yard, and he's saying, I'm hitting something, but I'm not sure what it is. And I immediately go to, they're going to have to dig up the whole front yard. Our main sewer line goes actually under our game room. And I'm thinking, if they have to dig up our game room, that would just be icing on the cake. Who doesn't want to just dig up, their house? So he's going back and forth. And then after about an hour, he comes in and he says, you're going to want to look at this. The words that no one wants to hear from their plumber is, you're going to want to look at this. So we go outside and takes me to the clean out and he says, have a look down and see what's down there. He goes, I've never seen that before. And I said, well, that explains a lot. What was it? Well, have a couple of guesses and we'll say it right on the other side of this break. Hey, are you a content creator that has a desire or are already creating gospel-centered content like podcasts, music, film, or blog posts? If you are, we would love to collaborate with you here at Love Local. If that's something that interests you, head over to lovelocalpa.com/partner and fill out our creative partner form, and then we can reach out to you and hopefully get a new project started. Coming up over the next couple of episodes here on Mission Likeness, we have some great conversations that we're going to be sharing with you on missions and evangelizing and just following Christ as a community of believers. So definitely subscribe to us on YouTube and Rumble. We'll be right back. All right, so catching you up if you skipped ahead, just to sum it up, here's what's happening. Potentially losing big client, people struggles within, trying to get people all on board and trying to move forward. Busy schedule, having to step in and teach and putting all of that in and teaching just naturally gives me anxiety, especially with teens. For whatever reason, teens just naturally just give me more anxiety. I don't know why. And then we're having these house issues that have caused us to cancel our Saturday plans. We're not celebrating birthdays. We're not getting together with our other friends. So that's where it leaves us. And now the plumber is saying, you got to look at this. Something he's never seen before. So I walk up and he goes, look down in. And at this point, if you've ever had plumbing work done at your house, as soon as he took it off, that smell of sewage is now just filling our house, which is so lovely. I'm like half nauseated from just that. So I go outside and I look down in this pipe and there is a 2.5 by 5 inch Lego block down in our clean out. And the plumber says to me, I've never seen a Lego that big get into the main. He said, I don't even know how it got through the traps in your house, like through the toilet trap and then down into the system. Like he goes, it's amazing that it even got this far. He said, but that has to be what was blocking it up. I mean, that big in a 3 or 4 inch pipe, if it gets caught sideways, in there or stood up, whatever, water can't go through as quickly as what it should. So that's what's there. So good news, right? We can get this taken care of. So we said, great. How are you going to get it out of there? I can't. Oh, okay. He said, I don't have the tool for it. We do have a tool, but it's at our, shop. So if I have to go get it, I have some other jobs that I got to get done today. So it would be another service call, which would probably be Monday or really late tonight, if I can get all these other jobs done. And I'm thinking, no. But at the same time, I'm thinking, we can't not have water. So I said, okay, we'll try to figure something out and then we'll give you a call. So here's where things start to turn. I call my dad and he gave me some ideas. So I go out and I try some of these different things and didn't work. Call my buddy Brian, who was actually, his family was the one supposed to come over to our house. So here's what happens. Brian comes over and through the course of some trial and error on some different things, he decides that he's going to use his hunting spear and go down through the clean out, stab the plate and bring it up through. Lo and behold, that worked. And so I have a picture. It's hilarious. I mean, okay. So before that actually happened, here's where the kids come in. So how did a 2.5 by 5 inch Lego block get into our sewage? So I go into the house. The boys are sitting, just being as lovely as could be, putting a puzzle together. They're just being so well behaved. And I sit down and I said, guys, are you missing any Legos? My oldest, without missing a beat, says, pointing to his younger brother, says, well, he flushed one down the toilet last week. Oh, okay. And he also flushed a Beyblade down the toilet too. All right, so we didn't see the Beyblade, so hopefully that, passed through, but okay. So we asked him, why'd you flush a Lego down the toilet? And he said, well, I mean, you didn't tell me I couldn't. So like I said, it's like body blow after body blow. Now, mind you, we still had to pay the plumber a stupid amount of money to come out and tell us that there's a Lego in our main and that he can't get it out. So that happened. But Brian came and it's good. So now my wife and I are trying to figure out, okay, so we need to make it very clear that we don't flush things down the toilet other than things that go down the toilet, So we're having that conversation with him and we know, and he knows, I mean, that shouldn't have happened, but he did it. He's a kid. We all make dumb mistakes. And I wish that I could sit here and say that led to a great gospel conversation talking about how we all need forgiveness. We all do stupid things, but Jesus covers all of that for us. It didn't. I actually don't remember if I flipped out. I don't think I flipped out. I think I yelled and I made some very stern threats about taking technology and that there was going to be a very, very harsh grounding, which to this day, don't think it's happened yet. But anyways, so that was kind of my response. And then I yelled at my oldest for not telling us, because he knew he should have told us, but he was holding that in his back pocket to make it look like, he's the more responsible one. Okay. So when we asked him why he didn't tell us, his response was, it was just too weird. I didn't understand why he did it, so I didn't tell you. That works too. So that's that. So we got all of that. We could flush. Life at the Cunningham household could resume normalcy. My wife could shower. I could shower. We could run water and do dishes and cook and clean properly. It was fantastic. Loved it. But it wasn't easy in the middle of it. It wasn't easy. I think that when we're in the middle of something like that, and it's just blow after blow after blow, and bad news and bad news and bad news, because you feel like you fail as a parent because your kids are flushing Legos down the toilet, and they don't feel like they can tell you, and they can't, all this stuff, and then having to cancel plans and all that kind of stuff. And you're worried about money and you're worried about relationships and you're just, all of this stuff is happening. And you just ask God, why? Why are you doing this? Is this punishment? Did I do something wrong? I mean, yeah, I probably did. Yeah, I did do something wrong, but is this my punishment for it? And we begin to struggle, not just physically. I mean, we were tired because of, just the mental stress was just exhausting. And then, we had the emotional stress of everything going on and all of this other stuff. And you begin to realize just how fragile we are. You take away the ability to use water and it completely ruins everything for us. And you have some of these other, body blows that we've been talking about with kids and finances, all this stuff, and it adds up. And we realize if this is all just a free for all, man, like there's no hope in it. I only find hope knowing that God is completely sovereign in this. That everything is working together for his glory, which I get. I get it. That sometimes leads to more questions than answers. How is God getting glory when my sewage is backing up into my house, causing, us to pay all of this money for a plumber and possibly losing clients and all of this stuff, and people are mad at me because they can't post something on Facebook that they want to, and all of this other stuff? How is God bringing glory to himself through that? And we wonder how he could do this. We would do it different. We would do it our way. But let's face it. If I put my will up against God's will, I say, God, this is what I will to happen, and God says, this is what I will to happen, who's going to win? God, every single time. I mean, that's not even a question. God gets glory through our dependency on him, through us recognizing his glory and his holiness and his righteousness and worshiping him. That is how God gets glory through those things. Because God's not just seeking after our hearts whenever things are going bad. God is seeking after our hearts when things are going good. God is always seeking us. God is always trying to draw his people back to him. Because we know, even from the moment that we are saved, there is temptation and there are these sparkly little objects and things that seek our attention. And just because things are happening in our lives, or maybe we're praying for things to happen and they don't happen the way that we want them to, or the way that we would desire things to happen, or the way we desire God to act in certain situations, we can't change God's will. We don't pray to change God's will. We pray to God that his will be done, not to abide by us. That is a self-focused prayer. Now, we can pray for healing for people. We can ask God to do a lot of things, but the goal is not that we are dictators of what God does, and God doesn't become any more or less God by obeying us. That's not how that works. So in the midst of all of this, how do we recognize, one, that we've gotten off mission, that we're no longer acting in the likeness of Christ? And how do we reorient? We'll talk about that coming up in just a minute, but first I want to talk about Your Church Media, yourchurchmedia.com. You can go and check them out if you are a pastor, if you are someone in the communications or media for your church, or maybe you're just a volunteer at the church and that's kind of what you've been appointed to take care of, and you're just feeling overwhelmed. You don't know how to put together sermon podcasts or video clips for on YouTube or on Facebook, or building a library that can be a resource for folks in your church. Your Church Media can help you out. Head over to their website, yourchurchmedia.com, and you can fill out a free consultation form, and that's going to provide you a 1-hour strategy session for free. No cost, no obligation. And what they'll do is they will sit down with you either in person or via video chat, and just talk about all the different ministries your church has going on and how you can begin to develop a podcast out of your sermon series or Sunday school lessons, how you can make those resources more available to people so that you can better equip people and provide more learning ability for folks in your congregation and honestly, just for the community. So head over to yourchurchmedia.com, fill out the contact form, and get a free strategy consultation today. Okay. So how do we get back on mission? So I want to talk about a couple of things that have happened. So I voiced a lot of the problems, and I did talk about one of the solutions, which was Brian came over and was able to help clear the get the Lego out of the drain. But that's not all that's happened, okay? There's been a lot of other ways that God has been moving in these past few days that have gotten me just to the point of I'm excited to see what God does. One of those things is just the other day I had a conversation with two individuals who help run a very large ministry in our area, and they said, "Hey, so-and-so gave us your name." And I'm thinking, yeah, that was like 2 years ago. I think I had that conversation with this person who referred me. And so they remembered me. And now it's coming to fruition where we're having this conversation and saying, okay, so this could be a great opportunity for us to work together and develop some possible ways to help churches. And so that has just been such an uplifting conversation. That was an hour-long conversation with these two. And at the end of the conversation, I messaged my wife and I said, that is the kind of conversation that makes me want to, get rid of the clients that are, if the clients drop me, fine, because I'm going to put all of my energy into developing this. Now, that's a lot easier said than done in some circumstances, but that was just the emotion that I had. I said, after talking with them, it was very clear I want to be part of this. And so is that going to solve all of our problems? Absolutely not. But what it is going to do is it is showing me step by step that God is saying, hey, you've been praying for some guidance and you've been praying for me to show you where you are to be spending your time and your talents. Maybe that means in order to accomplish this, you need to free up some time in your schedule. I'm not going to take you away from your family. I'm not going to take you away from your ministry. I'm not going to take you away from your church. So maybe that means that I do need to take you away from some of these clients. And that's going to look really scary. But remember who we're serving. I don't need to be afraid. We'll be okay. It'll work out. There's been 3 other times in my career, I've been in business 12 or 13 years. There's been 3 or 4 other times in my career where huge shift in our business has happened through loss of a client or something else. God's brought us through every time. Does that mean that it's easy? No. Does that mean that we're not going to struggle for a few months or maybe even a year? I don't know. But what I do know is that God is going to bring me through. I mentioned that we have some conversations coming up with some guests coming on the show that are just going to be phenomenal. Just phenomenal. 3 of them I can think of right off the top of my head. 3 of the next, the next 3 for sure are huge conversations that I've been looking forward to having. And 2 of them are people that came out of nowhere through a conversation that, they were like, someone said, you need to talk to so-and-so. I talked to so-and-so and they were like, yeah, I'm on board, but you should talk to so-and-so too. And so these are going to be great conversations. If you've followed along and you've listened to the conversations that we've been having with all of our guests, these next, even 4 or 5 conversations that we have lined up, these next 4 or 5 guests are going to take what we've been talking about and just keep pushing it forward. And that's what we're seeking to do here. Mission and likeness isn't just to talk about it and to show what other people are doing, but it's going to help you catch the vision of how you can get involved and how you can serve in your local body. So we're so excited about that. Another thing that I learned, so we ended up being able to go up to my parents for Easter. And before we went up, after our Easter service, I was talking with a friend of mine. And I told him, yeah, we're going up and, it's not going to be, what it was supposed to be. It's just kind of lunch now. And he looked at me and he said, cherish it. Cherish it. And I won't go into details on it, but we did. Carla and I both cherished it. And it was a great visit. And we're looking forward to the next one. As I'm thinking through the weekend still, we have friends who are looking out not just for our physical well-being so that we can shower and not have Legos clogging our main sewer line, but we have friends that are for our hearts. We complained about the plumbing, being super expensive, but we had the money for it. Thank God for that. As we see life develop before us, and it seems like it's happening faster and faster every single day, I think the biggest prayer that we can ask God for is for faith and understanding. Because, in the times when you're just ready to pull your hair out, and as mine is continually receding, our prayer should be not for God to fix the situation, but for us to say, God, allow me to rest in this situation. Sure, there's action steps that we need to do. And we can't just be, blasé about everything. But Jesus won. How can we have peace amidst all of these different things? Jesus. How does Jesus solve our peace issue? Because this is temporary. This is so temporary. It sounds crazy because I say this a lot, and I know I'm starting to sound like, the older generation, but we're a vapor. It's going to pass. There are so many opportunities for us to better our situation and sure, go after them, but that's not it. That's not where we ultimately find our joy. We ultimately find our joy in the one who made us. And if you don't have joy in Christ, pray. I pray for you to come to know him. Pray for the Spirit. Get in the Word. Just start reading Scripture. Talk to a Christian friend. Ask them where they get their joy. And if you are a Christian, are you showing that you have joy in your life? A big thing is we can prepare, we can prep, we can game plan, we can strategize, we can do all of this stuff, but we're going to fail. Don't be surprised when you fail. If you're surprised that you failed, then you're surprised that you're not perfect. Things are going to come and they are going to distract you. They're going to pull you down. But the more that we are living the gospel out, the more that we are clinging to the gospel as our hope, the more we have people drawing us and pushing us to the gospel, the quicker we are going to see where we're in unbelief and turning to him. So subscribe to us on YouTube and Rumble. We got some great content that we are planning to come out with really, really soon. So be sure to check out lovelocalpa.com as much as you can. Subscribe on YouTube and Rumble, and we'll see you next week right here on Mission Likeness only on Love Local. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next time.